Good morning, fellow travelers. Just Jeremiah here in my kitchen. So today I'm going to be making two quiche, one vegetarian and one with lots of sausage. So I bought a pound of hot Jimmy Dean sausage, which I'm now browning. I brought a single green onion, or green pepper, a single red onion. I bought a single portobello mushroom. I bought a pint of half and half, but I got the coconut cream almond milk type. And then there's some organic kale and greens that were grown locally here, right here, like outside in the yard. I've got two pie shells, deep dish pie shells. Now you want to bake them first, so put the oven at 400 degrees, and then let the frozen pie shells sit for like 10 minutes, right? Brown the sausage. You want to saute the vegetables. You need 4 eggs and a cup of half and half for each quiche, and a pint is 2 cups. Makes it easy. So basically, I should tell you how many vegetables, but just basically plan on using one each of those or whatever you like. I'm guessing it's like 2 cups of product inside. 2 cups of product, a cup of half and half, 4 eggs, and then cheese. Basically a bag of cheese, a pint, half and half. Some vegetables and some meat will make you 2 pies, but I'm going to do one vegetarian and then one with sausage, which is smelling fantastic. I'm keeping it down so I don't keep my roommates up, even though it's past 8 a.m. Respect, you know? So the oven is preheating to 400. It's now time to prick the bottom of the pie shells. Now, if you're fancy, you're going to have like weighted beads or like dried beans, and then you're going to put wax paper down, and it's going to hold the pie shell down as you pre-bake it for 10 to 15 minutes. But I'm not fancy. I don't have that stuff. So you stab it, and it keeps the air flowing out so it doesn't bubble up on the bottom. So here I'm going to stick it right in. Top of the oven. 10 to 15 minutes. Let me double check. Yeah, 12 to 15 minutes. Who would have thought you'd watch me show you a recipe? And you just want to brown it. You don't want to cook it all the way, because you're going to cook all that awesome juice out that's going to provide the flavor, because it's technically getting cooked twice. Quiche are great because they're good for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Quite easy to make. And everyone thinks you're fancy and like you work so hard. People give you a lot of credit for making quiche. So it's nice because it's really not that expensive unless it's Hawaii and you're paying $8 a gallon for milk and like $6 for a dozen eggs. But yeah, make a quiche. You can do so many good recipes. I'll give you some ideas then. This is good. Now, onions and peppers. Onions take less time, and peppers take a little more. It could be the opposite, but I like to do them separately so that way they each get the right al dente texture. Now, one's going to be vegetarian, so I'm first using the oil from the sausage to add that flavor to the onions, and I'm going to do the vegetarian one separately so there's no meat at all. Although you can start out on a medium to high heat with onions, you want to like drop it down to like a lower heat for the final push. You get that full flavor of it being sauteed and not just cooked. You don't want cooked onions, you want sauteed onions. There's a big difference. Another reason you want to cook the onions separately is because the peppers and the mushrooms have a lot of moisture in them, and they're going to end up boiling the onions. You don't want to boil the onions. Again, you want to saute them. Just some tips I've learned over the years. I'll explain about cooking, why I love cooking, what got me into it, and yeah, maybe later. Place to set this. Whatever. I'll just hold it. Cut, edit. I'm starting to get a little bit of that translucent brownish, so I'm going to turn it down to like 3. especially when cooking for others, always wash your hands before you cook and after handling meat. Of course, that's like obvious, but I know some of you come from the slabs. Did you know that living people eat dead mushrooms? And dead mushrooms eat living people? Pie shells are done. Now it's raised up, but it'll drop down. It's not going to be as great as if I did it the right way, but not everything has to be the right way. You can just manage your best. This is for the vegetarian. I'm going to get started on the peppers for the meat one. I love cooking because it makes people feel special, provides nourishment. You have a shared experience which puts you at the same brainwave length, and it just tastes good. And you know, to me, there's a virtue to hedonism, and not hedonism without abandon. Just the pursuit of pleasure. You know, if you can't make yourself happy, you can't make others happy. And there's a shame to making yourself happy, and I feel like that's part of social engineering to cut us off from the energy which we need to make each other feel great. So do what you love, know what you love, pursue it, just include balance, and don't pursue it without abandon. music now, but my roommate is sleeping, or at least resting. And also, copyrights. Maybe I'll find it like a free music to play in the background from some app with crappy music. Yeah, if so, and if I already have music, let's change the song now. Vegan Hitler. This isn't vegan because it has eggs, so I'm sorry, but I'm making this vegetarian one for you. I'm sorry that I hurt the fish when I eat them, but I like to consider their loss and the sacrifice they give for me to have all this awesome nourishment. And I really am sorry that my ideals don't meet yours, but it's gonna happen in life, and I still respect you. Vegan Hitler is someone who's kind of trolling my channel, but at the same time, they're really sweet about it. They're not really trolling me except for the vegan stuff. Besides that, they have very friendly comments. So there's no Nazi connection. It's just someone being funny with their YouTube name.
4 eggs times 2 is 8. Also for the slabbers. Yeah, hope you're hungry. So a quiche is basically a custard. A custard has cream and eggs. It builds up. But what you have to remember is that you have to aerate it. So you're not just mixing it. You're trying to get air into the mix. You can do it too much, so don't do it too much. But I'm pulling under and pulling back up. Yes, vegan Hitler, I noticed I already cross-contaminated, but I'm still going to try not to. If I was cooking for any actual vegetarians, I would have been much more careful.
One thing I definitely learned by making this quiche is never use coconut milk or coconut cream, almond milk, whatever. I'm sorry, unless that's your thing.
Kale can be kind of
just
sweet.
use half and half. whole half and
You don't
half.
have to fall apart.
Milk
Pull a single
really
piece
does a
out
great job of transferring other
of the
flavors
quiche.
into it. And so if you want a really good
Chop the
quiche,
tail.
please use half and half.
Nice
This
full
quiche
sound chopping.
was subpar, and I put so much love into it.
And the meat ingredients are done. So I gotta check up on that recipe quick. I'm cheating. I just forget which part. My roommates are so cool. Look at this. He's doing pull-ups there. They're like meditating on the roof, doing pull-ups, singing live music. Like, I am so blessed right now. It's awesome. Top it with cheese. Drop the oven to 375. And now wait 45 minutes and don't peek too much. Let's see, what time is it? 9, so. Alright, so one of my favorite parts about baking is the fact that you can clean up everything, and by the time you eat, there's no mess. To be honest, on top of the quiche being like tasty, impressive, it makes you look fancy, easy to cook. The cleanup is a piece of cake. Like that took me like 5 minutes.
There's definitely something
Now I've got all these extra
therapeutic
vegetables and meat,
and meditative
which I can just snack
about
on.
cleaning.
So
I
why
totally
snack on it
think
while you're
so.
cooking it? Like preparing it. I wish you were here with me. I mean, not necessarily in my bedroom, but it's kind of like my living space as well. So I wish you were here sharing this with me. I believe firmly that when someone puts love into a meal, it increases the flavor. So I was doing my energetic work, and I was putting energy into the food, whether it's just a bunch of silly nonsense or, has more credence than we might admit to ourselves. My roommates have made me feel so welcome and so special. I'm gonna have just enough money to pay the rent that he let me pay late, and I have enough to make this and have $20 to spare. Mm. So, I'm going to close my door so I can speak louder. So if you want some good recipes aside from that, do a Mediterranean quiche. Onions, peppers, tomatoes, feta cheese, and Kalamata olives. Mm. You've got buffalo chicken quiche, one of my very favorite. You know, get some chicken thighs and saute them up. Pulled chicken, you use 2 forks and break it up. Do a pulled chicken. Make your own buffalo sauce. Mix butter with Frank's Red Hot or your hot sauce of choice, 50-50, and cook it down a little bit to thicken it. Use blue cheese crumbles, cheddar cheese, and celery inside with the egg. Same concept. It's 2 cups of cheese, 4 eggs. It's a cup of half and half. And then I think it's like a cup to 2 cups of ingredients. I don't know, whatever. I just do it and then I make sure I have extra. Take scallops or crab. Saute them up a little bit. Use some Gruyere cheese and some Old Bay seasoning with some green onions. Mm. What quiche recipes would you make up? I like to make them up, but I also like to look them up. And I'm also open. What's some of your favorite meals to cook? What's some of your favorite meals to eat? Do you prefer cooking or being cooked for? What got you into cooking? Let's all interact together. I'm not just looking for your answer. I want you to be able to get to know each other, because if you're watching my channel, you probably have a lot more in common with all the people in the comments than you might realize. And I don't just encourage you to comment because it helps me and it looks good and I like it and it helps my ego. I mean, that's part of the reason. But it's an opportunity to get to know other people and feel like you're part of a group that is very similar to each other. Love this room. Hope you're not sitting there hungry watching this. I'm sorry if you are. Mm. After those 3 weeks, I deserve this. Iced tea powder. Not great for me, but I'm still addicted to the sugar. So yeah, my mom, she loved to cook. She would make Mexican lasagna. I love American chop suey. Not so much. My brother loathes the concept. It's rice, tomato sauce, ground beef, onions, tomatoes, and anything else you feel like throwing in there. I think my mom made the name up. I'm not positive, but I'm gonna fill up on this and eat one quiche piece because I could eat a whole pie, but I'm cooking that to share. My mom made regular lasagna, spaghetti and meatballs, meatloaf, pierogies. She never made them from scratch, although I did once and they were fire. It's just dumplings with like cream cheese, sour cream. It's like mashed potatoes with cream cheese, sour cream, and cheddar cheese mixed in. Some sauteed onions, maybe. Ooh, every culture has their dumpling, and I love the pierogies. I'm a quarter Polish myself. So my mom cooked a lot, and she didn't. Sometimes she would go into her deep apathetic states. She once sat there for 7 years on the couch and really just went to bed and read the Bible in her room. My mom was a hoarder. So you might notice my room is very clear and clutter-free. And yeah, unfortunately, I grew up in a household not like that. You could never put anything on the table. The dishes wouldn't be done for years on end. It basically would have been like foster care for me if I hadn't had a weird loyalty to my mom. And there's deeper, darker stuff that was going on that I don't go on about. I love my mom. Even then, I was very protective of her. but was also ashamed of the abuse and neglect. I think Stockholm Syndrome is whenever you end up with the loyalty to your abuser. I could be wrong. I'm right a lot though. So I was about 8. My mom told me that all the other parents were making their kids do their laundry and it was time to do my laundry. So I ruined a lot of stuff with bleach the first couple months. But I had to do everything on my own. It's part of why I ended up becoming so independent as an adult. There were points when she just wouldn't cook, for years on end sometimes. And so we were very poor and there was a lot of scarcity. And I hate to say it, but she would take our Social Security checks that we got from my father being disabled. He had a bad back problem. And she would go out to eat at restaurants and bring my sister, and they just didn't have me come along. My family would go to Red Lobster and other places, and they never had me along. It was so weird. They'd always come back with boxes, and I was this skinny little kid, and they were all very overweight, and it was weird because they mindfully neglected me and let me know. They had issues with men because they had been sexually abused when they were young, my sister and my mom, and so they had basically made it known that I was just a man, I was just a boy, and that all the things I was suffering at their hands were due to the fact that I didn't deserve anything else because I'm just a man. So the way men treated them, even in their life after being heavy-set women, they took it out on me. I'm lucky I'm not a misogynist now. I've gone through stages that could be somewhat close, but I'm a realist. When people say that men are the root of all evil, it's just go fucking fly a kite. You know what I mean? People are the root of all evil, but people are the root of all good. We're all inherently good and inherently evil. Which do you pick? Which do you feed energy into? Which do you focus on? So as a kid, I'd raid the cupboards. A lot of it was food bank stuff from a year or two before. The rice had beetles and weevils and that stuff in it. You had to pick them out. And I had to learn to cook on my own at a very young age. And breakfast was something that I loved to cook because eggs are cheap. And now and then we'd have them. And I learned to cook young. And because of the scarcity that I had growing up, food has so much meaning to me. There's so much energy to it, so much magic to it, and I get to basically make people feel the way I didn't get to a lot of times as a kid. I ended up in the restaurant industry early, 2000. Olive Garden, bussing tables, and then 2002 I was working at Ruby Tuesday as a server, and then Red Lobster, and then Rillo's, and then over 100 restaurants since. I've worked some really high-end places where there's several $100 entrees, and I've worked cheap dive bars. I've worked dead places, busy places. I've learned so much, and as someone that has the capacity to take in information, I learned all about the culinary arts, even though I never took a degree, which I still plan to. So I love to cook, I love the concepts, I love the chemistry and the science behind it. I'm a big fan of science. And so there's probably nothing more special to me than being able to cook and share a meal and eat it with someone. It's really how I share love, and how I feel love is sharing and having people accept. That's why I do the pancakes in those weird places, is just sharing food together, the shared experience, matching our brainwaves, breaking down barriers. To me, you don't have the phone out when you're eating. You don't play with the phone. Of course, we didn't have that growing up, but we didn't watch TV. We would sit, and my grandparents, they made it special because a lot of times they knew my mom was in that state. So they would have us over. They lived 6 blocks away. We'd have the real meals there, at home during those 7 years. That's how I survived, aside from the free lunch program. Especially in the summer, I probably wouldn't have eaten if it wasn't for my grandma, and for my ability to go and find out which houses had the best snacks and food. And without realizing I was using people, I would end up at strangers' houses getting fed, and they knew. Even I didn't know, they knew. Now, part of you might feel bad for me. Like, look at this guy. He's smiling and he's talking about all this negative stuff from his past. Like, is he just full of shit? Is he like this thin veneer behind like a darkness? You know? Uh, but honestly, like, going through that stuff made me who I am, and I love who I am. I love the person I've become. I love the person I'm becoming. I love the people in my life, like you. And I would have never had any of this if it wasn't for those struggles, that adversity. You know, my uncle taught me when I was homeless, my second or third time by the age of 19, 20. My aunt and uncle took me in. My mom's sister's uncle, Uncle Pat, he is so awesome. Such a smart guy. He told me about some of his childhood traumas that would blow you away. It's not even appropriate for here. Also, it's like not my place to talk about someone else's traumas without their permission and consent. But what he told me is that the worst things that have ever happened to him have been gifts. If you can choose to take the darkest, worst things that have ever happened to you and learn that there's a lesson you can learn from everyone, you know, if you're only focused on the negative of the negative things that happen to you, you're missing out on some of the strongest lessons in life. So at the age of 19, while struggling and dealing with processing the traumas and unsuccessfully processing the traumas of my childhood, my uncle had taught me to embrace the lessons that I could learn from the darkness, from not the darkness as in, you know, I know part of you wants to assume that I'm like into some weird shit. That's not what I'm saying. From the darkness that we end up having to go through, you can embrace those traumas as lessons that give you more information than the beauty and the positive sides. And so that these people who have hurt you and who continue to hurt you, they're giving you gifts. And if you can choose to see those traumatic events and those experiences and that abuse as a gift that someone gave you, as a means of learning to avoid more future traumatic events and negative experiences, you will do nothing but grow. And he taught me that at a young age. And I don't know where I'd be without my uncle and that, you know, at least I was there 6 months in their house, but he spent at least a solid month or two just mentoring me. And I don't know where I'd be without him right now. I don't know if I would have survived my 20s. So I'm so blessed for my childhood, for the good parts and the bad, for the people in my life who have built me up and the people in my life who have broken me down, the people in my life who have been there for me and been amazing, and the people in my life who have hurt me. I'm so grateful for all of them because I'm me. I'm happy, I'm strong, and I'm on a good path, and I will stay on this good path. And I'm just so grateful that I can share this with you. Like, who'd have thought that, you know, most people in my life wouldn't want to hear this? The direct people in my life, you know? But here I am sitting with a bunch of, for now, strangers, till I get to meet you in person, and getting to share so openly some things that really helped me grow. I'm not telling them to you as advice. I'm just giving you suggestions of how you could try thinking and letting you know what's helped me. And I appreciate you letting me share that. I'm going to eat some more of this. And once the quiche is done, I'm going to pop it out of the oven and show you the beauty that you can give to your loved ones for cheap and easy. Just don't tell them what I said. Don't tell them it's easier than you think, all that. Let them think it's the hardest, most fancy thing ever. Don't share the secret unless you want to. What are your recipes? What do you love about food? You know, what about your childhood? Did you go through traumas? How do you feel about the things I'm saying? Do you like this style of video? What more types of videos would you like to see? If you're watching this, I know you might always comment and you're like, Jeremiah, you don't even have to tell me. Or you might never. But please leave a comment. Let's see what all of us together think and feel. And we'll have a lot more fun, not just watching this video, but gauging people's reaction to this video that come from all different walks of life. I really am enjoying this food, and it's cool because it feels like I'm eating with someone else, and I really enjoy eating with someone else. So maybe you sat down and ate while we're watching this, and maybe I'll say that in the description. Grab some food and watch this video, and we'll be eating together. I truly am loving you. I can't wait to show you the quiche. See ya.
All right, it is quiche time, baby. Now, the cheese didn't melt super great, so I ended up sticking it on broil and letting it finish the last 5 minutes just to get that extra little bit of golden brown. And then I started cutting it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I'm doing a YouTube video on this, so I put it back in, which is why this one is cut. So. Check it.
Do you need to use pass-through? Take it pass-through.
No, I don't. Nope. Thank you for asking. I got the best roommates ever. Meat one. That one looks pretty. That one's Carl's. Bam. Maybe I can give some to the neighbor. Who knows? Love to share. Yay, thanks for letting me share with you about me sharing with others. Loving you, fam. Quiche, make it. It's easy. People will love you. You'll love them, and you'll love the quiche. Loving you, fam. See ya.